stronger and healthier if in fact you're already enrolled in the MedFitness program. And so two very good reasons why we should continue to keep our eyes on our strength and our health. And we're talking about muscle as well in just 2 seconds. But reason number one is a book that was published in 1991 by Dr. Bill Evans. Dr. Evans at that time was the chief of the Human Physiology Lab at Tufts University. He had been doing strength training research in the 80s, published this book in 1991, and the title, of course, is Biomarkers, 10 Keys to Prolonging Vitality. So what Dr. Evans essentially did in his book is he identified determinants, which he calls biomarkers, that predict whether or not you're going to live a longer and healthier life. And so some of the things that you might expect to see on that list are there, like body composition, bone mineral density. Those are of course important. But two big surprises for 1991, and even two surprises for people today, is the fact that the number one biomarker in this book, the number one predictor of living a healthier, longer life, is muscle mass. Number two is strength. So we're going to drill down on these tonight, but this was in 1991, 28 years ago. We've had a mountain of research since then reinforcing those as important determinants of living longer and living better. So this was in 1991. Now, the second reason why we want to pay attention to our strength and health, even though we're already strength training, is a study that was published in 2014 in the American Journal of Medicine. This was a study that looked at the relationship between muscle mass and mortality rates, and they found an inverse relationship here in adults that were aging. In other words, as muscle mass went up, mortality rates dropped. And so I was at a conference a couple of years ago, and Dr. James Fisher was reviewing this data, and he came up with a soundbite that was very accurate. I just love what he said. He pointed out that it's hard to kill strong people. What a clear, succinct, to the point way to look at this inverse relationship between muscle and mortality. Muscle goes up, mortality goes down. So for these two reasons, I'm going to argue that even if you are strength training right now, it still is very, very beneficial to be focused on your strength as a way of protecting your health as you're aging. Now, having said that, we have 3 action steps tonight. How are we going to make this happen? How are we going to achieve a stronger, healthier body so quickly and efficiently? We have 3 action steps. Those 3 action steps are up on our board here. We're going to talk about supervision and why that is even more important than we've thought in the past. Number 2 is we're going to talk about this thing that you've heard me talk about before, which is muscle failure, and why that is the ideal dose of medicine to make your body stronger. Again, some people may be surprised by that. And lastly, we'll talk about something that almost nobody talks about, which is the central nervous system. It's highly correlated to your muscular system, and it's an important ingredient when we consider how and why can we get stronger from a strength workout. So let's start with number 1. Recommendation number 1 for being stronger and healthier, and in fact, let me put one footnote to that. When I say be stronger, be healthier, it's again to add quality years to your life. We're not talking about saying, let's live 10 years longer, but have those years be substantially worse. Nobody says that. Everybody wants quality years. So we're talking about adding quality years to your life by adopting these practices. So step number 1 is to be supervised when you're strength training. Now this seems almost too obvious. Most of you are already supervised, but there's 2 important insights that scientists have discovered about supervision that we should be aware of even when we're exercising in a supervised strength program like the one here at MedFitness. Number 1 is that it is simply easier to not work out when you're not being supervised. I don't think anyone will argue this. If you are not seeing your trainer and you're not checking in